The Nintendo 64, a home console that was at the very front of true 3D gameplay that was about to change the way we played video games forever. And for a teenage Nintendo fan in 1996, the actual experience was even bigger than the hype. It's tough to put into words how much that experience actually resonated with me, but it's been obvious over the past 2.5 decades of how much it really has. My name is Downing, I'm a portable console modder, and this is my 15th N64 portable. I suppose at this point choosing to call this hobby an infatuation has passed pretty much into full-blown obsession. But the countless hours and countless dollars that have gone into it over the years show through more and more with each project completed. So rather than just make another showcase video, I decided it was time to go a bit more in-depth with how this hobby has progressed for me, and what I've learned over the years and what it takes to build a portable console. I will include timestamps in the description below if you wish to skip ahead. But I hope you don't, as I put more time into the script alone than any other video I've ever put together in full. It's been 11 years since I was introduced to the console modding scene, and my only regret is that I didn't get into it sooner. I was already 24 before I even picked up a soldering iron, but it seemed doable with my background in woodshop and general carpentry. Granted, back when I got into this, it was a much different scene, built upon the premise of working with what you had versus today building what you need. There was a lot more hacking back then, while today's scene is much more of a making/build-to-suit environment, which really is just the natural evolution as better technology and services become available to average Joes. To really make it in this hobby, you're going to have to focus on skill building, and then roll with the punches that followed because some of them were really going to hurt. So what have I learned in my time that has allowed me to make these kind of portable projects? Well, my ability to fail in spectacular fashion has always been a key sense of pride. Whether it's the success of finishing my first portable, which by no rights should have ever lived.
So, this is not a pretty, version.
Breaking shit out of frustration. Drinking and dremeling, and finding out that that's a bad thing. Twice. Realizing the unforgiving nature of CNC.
Ah! Son of a bitch.
3D modeling and how cross-eyed it could make you. That the 3D printing learning curve could be a lot to get over. Or that nothing ruins a project faster than a paint failure after the whole job is complete. It wouldn't be inaccurate to say these past 11 years could be looked at as perpetual torment and failure, but with the occasional win that is a completed project. But those wins are sweet, especially after an immense amount of frustration in a project's construction, and this latest project probably turned into one of the biggest clusterfucks I've ever had to deal with. I'm of course referring to the paint failure of the Golden 64. This was without a doubt one of the most gut-wrenching experiences I've ever had when it comes to modding, and it prompted an entire redo of the portable. Let's move on to that redo, portable number 15, aka the Ocarina of Time edition. I won't be getting too technical with this, but there are a few things that are pretty standard to cover for authenticity purposes. This is a 100% original hardware portable as far as the console itself is concerned. The board is removed from the enclosure, stripped of all unnecessary components, and then trimmed to size. Other components like the screen, speakers, and batteries are off-the-shelf parts sourced from places like eBay or DigiKey. The system was also designed to play original game cartridges, so yes, you have to put in an actual game and deal with the 1996 style DRM. Yes, I know about the EverDrive. But there are a number of custom features that I've been using pretty steady for the past 5 years now, like power and audio management boards, controller and controller I/O boards, as well as some new assembly improvements which makes playing connect the dots far more mindless. By definition, this is a full portable in that it has its own audio-video output as well as its own power supply that doesn't have to be plugged into a wall to run. It's also handheld, which a system doesn't have to be considered portable as long as the first two criteria are met. This also has the ability to connect to a custom breakout box, which has an output to a TV and access to player 2, 3, and 4 for multiplayer games. Important note, though the system has an HDMI connector, this system is not HDMI. It's just a connector meant to go from the console to the breakout box. so do not plug the system directly into an HDMI port on the TV. But for all that goes under the hood, what makes this unique is its theme and the custom work that went into that. Now, because of the long delays and the full redo, I really wanted to give my customer something special. Utilizing my new Form 3, I was able to give him a truly Zelda Ocarina Time themed console by way of custom buttons and 3D printed decals. I tried to make the button layout match the on-screen controller map as best I could, while making the speaker covers into Forest and Temple of Light medallions. The RL and Z buttons are all printed with the Hylian text, and the hearts in the center are caps for the audio and screen controls. A 3D printed Triforce then ties everything together in the middle. I was also super excited how the paint job on this one came out. The metallic hammer texture does an amazing job covering the inherent flaws of 3D printed enclosures, and it just looks sharp. But this project was not just about aesthetics. There was a great deal of reliability improvements as well, which included the use of FFC, or flexible cable. With their low volume availability recently becoming possible through services like OSH Park, flexible circuit boards have allowed for even more improvements with portable console modding. The example here is what we call a cart slot relocation, which does exactly as it says. In the past, this required a 1-to-1 connection for the 48 pins on the connector to the motherboard, though later on there were 27-pin variations that would also work with some tweaking. Let's just call it 96 total solder joints, which really was a time-consuming pain in the ass. But FFC has substantially reduced this effort, all with taking up a fraction of the space of wire and with a much more reliable connection. The system also made use of a custom junction board, which connects both sides of the system via single FFC. So instead of having 20 hard-connected wires crossing each half of the system and really locking things in place, the halves can be wired independently and connected by a single detachable cable. But even with all these improvements, they're now just the bare minimum when compared to what other modders like Gman and the BitBuild team are producing. Though their concentration is largely focused on Wii portabilizing, lately they've been taking what they know from that and started applying it to the N64 with incredible results inside and out. I simply don't have the time anymore to build on that level, which is okay, and I'm amazed at the amount of people they've inspired. But this portable and the one other that I've been working on marks the end of my commissions for the foreseeable future. I'll still be designing, I'll still be building, but only as my time allows. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that it may have inspired you in some way to take up this hobby or get you into other fields like 3D printing or just making in general. Please consider giving a like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, inspirational, or just enjoyed the ride.